7th, 2020. I would ask that you rise. Join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from our November 16th, 2020 meeting.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve those minutes as submitted.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approval as submitted. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Presentation of accounts payable. Paula?
Mr. President, I would like to recommend the claims from November 19th through December 7th, 2020 be approved without exception.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Okay, we held a special meeting on the 25th of November to accept bids for Phase 2 of the Tippecanoe County Central Office Building project, also known as the old YMCA building. I have in hand a letter from Tecton Construction Management. They have gone through all of those and issued a letter. I'm going to go ahead and read through the recommendations. Bid package 2A, general trades contract, goes to Shepler Construction with alternate 1 for $452,583. Bid package 2B, millwork casework contract to the Deerwood Group, $89,643.75. Bid package C, hollow metal frame doors and hardware contract, goes to Mohops for $231,586. Bid package 2D, floor covering contract to Jack Laurie Group in the amount of $198,700. Bid package 2E, painting and wall covering contract to Heritage Classic Construction Incorporated, alternate 1 for $66,700. Bid package 2F, fire suppression contract to Grinnell Company, Inc. for $124,960. Bid package 2G, plumbing contract, goes to Quality Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $189,000. Bid package 2H is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, goes to Wright Hardware Company in the amount of $286,249. Bid package 2I, electrical contract to Houston Electric, $387,567. Bid package 2J, fire detection and alarm contract, goes to Brand Electric, $21,450. Bid package 2K, excavation and site work contract, goes to Fairfield Contractors for $197,973. It looks like the total amount to contract in bid phase 2, combining all of those, is $2,246,411.75. Those are the recommended contract awards from Tecton.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve those bids as outlined.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the bids as outlined for Phase 2 of the project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Go ahead.
And then it might make some sense, I didn't think of this till just now, because we also have underneath the change orders, instead of doing that, this is for the Phase 2 project as well, an amendment to the professional services agreement with Tecton for their services for the Phase 2 component, which is a total of $225,981, which includes field staff, overhead, and construction management fees. With that, I'll make a motion we approve that as well. That's all part of the project. And with that, the total bids came in about $500,000 under. So we're very happy with the way all that played out.
Just curious, Tom, 891 or 981? We have 891 written here.
$225,891.
891. Okay, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve that contract for Phase 2 with Tecton Construction Management. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. You want to take these bond renewals?
Okay. So it looks like we have several bond renewals for 2021. I'll make a motion. We approve the bond renewal for Julie Roush, Shannon Sue Withers, Jennifer Marie Weston, the Tippecanoe County Prosecutor's Office, and Robert Goldsmith.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the bond renewals as outlined by Commissioner Murtaugh. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Sorry.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 2020-33-CM. Bob or Doug?
I can go first so you can correct me when I get it wrong. This is a resolution that's, all you're really doing is creating a fund that we're calling the Rainy Day Fund. The purpose of it, as I understand it, is that we're getting CARES Act money this year in a way that sort of corresponds to the conditions that will likely decrease the amount of lit money we get in future years. So the concept is to take some of that money we're getting up front and setting it aside in the lit rainy day fund to offset what's probably going to be a decrease in local income tax revenue in future years caused by COVID.
And so some of this is, there was kind of a change of direction of the CARES Act money, which initially it was new expenses that were related to COVID, and then we were to reimburse appropriations. There was kind of a transition at the state level to have us pay for salaries of public safety in the health department, and then that money was all to go to the general fund. And so these were expenses we were already going to have. So now with economic conditions, most likely, or almost a certainty, we will have less lit money, local income tax money in 2022. Part of that's based on the governor extended the time frame for us to get 21 lit money to 14 months. And so in 22, we are only going to get lit money for a period of time of 10 months. So there will be a decrease. So since we are putting additional money into the general fund than what we had anticipated, because we didn't anticipate any of this, because it was going to be a reimbursement, we want to hold some of that money back so that when we get to the 22 budget, we're not going to have a big shortfall of money.
It's going to be the council's action to figure out how much and actually direct you to put that money in there, right?
Yeah, because we maybe don't want to put all that money back into the general fund in 2022. When we see the shortfall, we might want to hold that over because things aren't just going to be back rosy again when we go into the 23 budget. So.
Mr. President, I move we approve Resolution 2020-33-CM establishing the lit rainy day fund.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as outlined by our auditor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you both.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We hear ordinance 2020-20-CM.
Second?
Okay. Good morning, Sally.
Hi. I think Mr. McIntyre is attending virtually, And he's certainly welcome to present his case, but if he's not prepared to do that, I can run through the data points, so to speak.
I think you could give the Clip Notes version. Oh,
If you want to go ahead, Sally, that would be fine.
Okay. This is a rezone at the south end of what we would consider sort of the urban area of Stockwell. Stockwell is not an incorporated town, so it doesn't actually have boundaries. The property was initially, for many, many, many years, zoned agricultural. Then it was rezoned to select agricultural during the Laramie Township rezone some many years ago. Then there was a rezone to neighborhood business for a funeral home. That lasted only about 3 years, and the property has now been vacant since 2017. Mr. McIntyre would like to convert it back to a single-family home, and to do that, he needs R1 zoning. Since Stockwell now has sanitary sewer, that's certainly within the realm of what we would expect for a lot on sanitary sewer. Staff recommended approval, and the Plan Commission voted 16 yes, 0 no to recommend approval to you.
Thank you, Sally. And Mr. McIntyre, if you can hear us, do you have anything that you would like to add as petitioner?
No, I just talked to all the adjacent properties, and they were thrilled about the change, and that's all I have to say.
Okay. Is there, do we have anyone else who wants to speak either for or against the rezone? Okay. Bob?
Brown,
Yes.
Murtaugh,
Yes.
Byers.
yes.
Ordinance 2020-20, CM passes 3-0.
Thank you, everyone. Next up, Prosecutor's Office, and I didn't, Pat is still out. Jason, good morning.
Good morning, Jason Bish from the Prosecutor's Office. We are thankful for a grant that we received from the Indiana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force in the amount of $10,000. That's going to be used for travel, training, and other software and equipment. This was awarded through the Indiana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, will be used to help us fight the unfortunate crimes against children that we see here in our county.
Mr. President, I move we grant permission to accept this grant as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the grant as outlined by Mr. Biss. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Good morning, Stu.
A few items here. The first item on our agenda is a maintenance bond from Atlas Excavating in the amount of $70,571.30. This is for Concord Ridge, Section 3.
Mr. President, I move we accept this maintenance bond as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the maintenance bond for Atlas Excavating. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Our second item is a bond from DGOG of Lafayette. This is in the amount of $5,000. It's for the Dollar General store being constructed at 300 North and Old State Road 25.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We accept that construction maintenance bond as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the maintenance bond from DGOG as outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. Have another maintenance bond from R&W Contracting the amount of $5,000. This is for work at various locations within county right-of-way.
Mr. President, I move that we approve this maintenance bond for R&W Contracting as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the maintenance bond for RW Contracting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next document is a contract with the Department of Transportation. It has to do with there was a culvert replacement on State Road 25. They ran an unofficial detour over county roads, two of which were gravel roads, kind of unusual for a detour. Put a lot of traffic on there, and we asked for dust lay, and they approved it, and this contract allows reimbursement for that at that location for $3,014.55.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve that unofficial detour reimbursement contract as outlined.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the unofficial detour as outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Final item is the acceptance of streets. This is Concord Ridge, Section 3. You're accepting Bamboo Street, Leeward Lane, Abbeville Drive, and Hyacinth Lane, a total of 0.522 miles into the county road system.
Mr. President, I move that we accept these streets as stated for the highway system.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the streets as outlined by Stu. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. Good morning, Sheriff. We have you next up.
Go ahead. We have some old DVR equipment. Typically, we'd scrap it, but we found there's a juvenile facility in Ohio that could use these items, and we could sell them to them at a reasonable cost. It's a few $100. It would come back to the county. But it's nice with the upgrade that we did that we're actually able to help another facility. So I'd ask permission to be able to sell those.
Okay. Any comments, Doug?
Yeah, it's just, there, I think 7 of them, I think they're valued at maybe $500 a piece, and so since it's less than $1,000 a piece and less than 5,000 aggregate, and because you're transferring it to another governmental entity, you don't need to auction it, or you probably didn't even need this, but I thought it'd be best just to have it come through here since you're having the meeting, so I think a motion to authorize the Sheriff's Department to transfer or sell the DVR players as presented would be in order.
I think he just wanted to see my forehead talking to the mic.
So moved.
Before I say second, did you learn how to set the clock on the DVR player? Or?
They're automatic, I think.
Okay.
You just plug them in.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to authorize the sale or transfer surplus DVR players to another jurisdiction. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Have several change orders.
Yes. All right. The first two are for the Tippecanoe County Superior 7 courtroom project. First one is with Quality Plumbing and Heating, and it's for the amount of $9,363. When we opened up the ceiling of the new Superior 7, there was some repairs needed within the installation of some piping up there, and so we did some repairs and replacement up there in the amount, again, of $9,373, or I'm sorry, $9,363. I'll make a motion, we approve that change order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the change order. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And the second change order is with Brand Electric in the amount of $11,780, and it's to upgrade to LED lighting in the 4D, I'm sorry, the 4D first floor courtroom, Superior 6, and juvenile magistrate judges' chambers. Again, I'll make a motion, we approve that change order amount of $11,780.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change order from Brand Electric on the courtroom project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We also have change orders for the fairgrounds. Looks like we have 3.
Mr. President, I'll make the first motion that we approve from Davidson Excavating for the amount of $5,640. This is the removal of some unstable soil in 2 separate locations.
That was a motion.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a change order from Davidson Excavating for the fairgrounds project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I also have another change order from Davidson Excavating for the amount of $8,157.80. This is to reroute a sanitary sewer line, plus some regrading and relining up our downspouts in the back area. So I so move that we approve this change order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a change order from Davidson Excavating in the amount of $8,157.80. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And then, Mr. President, I move that we approve the change order with Shepler Construction Company in the amount of $159,477. This is to finish putting in the dividers in the west wing, which is the area initially we're going to leave open, but considering our bids came in reasonable, we were able to go ahead and add these back in. So I so move that we approve that change order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a change order from Shepler Construction Company as outlined by Commissioner Byers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. And some change orders for the Tippecanoe County Central Office project. I guess there's just one because we took care of the other one earlier.
Right. And the last one is to install additional natural gas piping and increase the main line sizing for future HVAC units in the expansion in the back area of that project that's not being upgraded at this time. I'll make a motion, we approve that in the amount of $4,450.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a change order for County Central Offices Project in brunnico. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Good morning. Tony Dillline from your maintenance department. Some service agreements. First one would be with ThyssenKrupp Elevator Service for the 111 North 4th Street Courthouse Annex facility in the amount of $135. This will now put all of the county elevators under one vendor, and that being ThyssenKrupp. And the total dollar amount for that is $1,443 per month.
Mr. President, I move that we approve this contract as stated.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agreement addendum with ThyssenKrupp as Tony outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Then I have some service agreements with Bernico Fire Protection for the years 21 through 25. First one being 111 North 4th Street, again, the courthouse annex facility. This is for the complete fire protection of the automatic sprinkler system, the backflow preventers, the fire alarm system, the fire extinguishers, and the dry standpipe for the dollar amount of $1,035 annually.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve that building maintenance contract with Brunnico as outlined.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Bernico contract as outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
The second contract, Brunnico, would be 2800 North 9th Street, which is our community correction facility, for the amount of $1,048 annually, same protection.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the Bernico contract for 2800 North 9th Street. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Third would be on 301 Main Street, our courthouse, same years, 21 through 25, for the dollar amount of $2,165.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Bernico contract for 301 Main Street. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Fourth one being 20 North 3rd Street, as we classify as TCOB. Again, the years 21 through 25 for the dollar amount of $1,979 annually.
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve the Bernico contract with 20 North 3rd Street. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Then we have a service agreement with Houston Generator Service for the generator located at 629 North 6th Street, the old jail. It's a minor inspection and a major inspection. The minor is at $280, the major is at $356, for a total dollar amount of $636.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the generator service agreement with Houston Electric. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Tony, before you sit down, thank you for your work on, I know we did a bunch of these at the last meeting. I know this is, you've aligned a lot of contracts over the last couple of years, and I know the elevator thing and getting everything under Tyson Cup has been something that's taken a number of years for you to work on. We appreciate your efforts on that.
You're welcome, sir.
Next up, looks like we have some grants.
Sharon coming on or not?
You're saying Sharon's not with us? Looks like the first one up is a permission to accept a grant through the Health Department from the Indiana Department of Health in the amount of $95,000 for 2021. It's the HIV prevention program utilized to support the 4 pillars. The funding will add HIV testing position and a full-time position for the site management of the syringe services program.
Mr. President, I move that we grant permission to accept as stated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the grant as outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Good to hear from you.
Okay. Next up is an MOU contract with Youth Services, renewal of a contract with the Indiana Department of Child Services for billing of services as the licensed Indiana residential treatment services provider with obligations regarding children placed by DCS or probation department. The renewal contract is for an additional period of 1 year and shall terminate on December 31st, 2021.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we renew that contract as stated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the MOU contract as outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. We have reports on file from the Treasurer's Department, Clerk of Circuit Court, and the Building Commission's monthly report, as well as a monthly report from the Public Library. All of those are available in our office, and they were also sent out with the agenda for today's meeting. Do we have any unfinished or new business? Okay, public comment.